So we are working on Shay Howe's Building Your First Web Page. We are in Lesson 1, and you could read through all this content of Lesson 1, and then it brings you down to the first in-practice session. And the first in-practice session asks us to create a file named index.html and save it to the location we won't forget. So I'm going to go back over to WebStorm. And inside WebStorm, I right-click my folder, and then I choose New HTML file. And I'm going to save this as index.html is what he wants us to call it. And so it brings up this default template of code, which I didn't look up zooming in on that, so we'll do that in a minute. But and then the next thing it asked me here in this first in practice is within the index file, let's add the document structure, including the doc type, document type, and the HTML head and body element. So basically we want this information right here on the page. And this doc type just tells computers kind of what kind of document is being sent or received, if they receive it. This is defines the HTML document. And then here the head is where we put information which would be kind of like you know, good for the computer, good for the web browser to know about. You know, so it's not necessarily things that get displayed on the page. This isn't like the header of a web page, which is different, and we'll look at that as we get in. But the head is like where you might have meta tags, meta information about your website, and we'll learn about that. You might also have, you know, some code in there to include different files. So you might say, I want to include this this CSS style sheet. So that would be the head area. And then the body is where you're going to put everything that shows up on the web page. It goes between those. So we just want to make sure that we have this file. I'm just going to highlight that. And once it's highlighted, Command-C or Control-C if you're on Windows to copy it, and then Alt-Tab or Command-Tab back over. And I could just highlight all this if I wanted and replace it. But I think I'll paste in what was off of Shay Howe's website, Command-V. And that allows me to sort of see the difference. And I can see, well, what came up as default was doc type, and I have doc type. That's what Shay's recommending. And then I have the HTML, the head, the body, and here's HTML, head, body. Well, there's a little bit more in there. And there's from the default stuff that WebStorm created for us. And what that is we have this title tag. And the title tag is goes between the head. And what the title tag does is when you see, like on a web page, this title up here, that's where it's getting that information. So if I wanted to, I could add in a title. I'm just going to stick with Shay Howe's stuff. So I don't really like the way this is formatted, right? So from all these drop-down, because look, there's no indentation. And one of the things you'll learn is that HTML is easier to read when it's indented. So I want this to be indented. Out of all these drop-down windows, you know, menus, these different menus up here, which menu would I look at to maybe find automatically reformat my code? Which drop-down menu up here do you think I'd go to automatically reformat my code?
Maybe
code. I'll start under code, and I have reformat code, and you can see that there's a shortcut here. So if you're on Windows, the shortcut will be a little bit different, right? But on a Mac, I'm going to hold down Command, I'm going to hold down L. I'm not quite sure what that funny key is, so it might be Option or it might be Control, but I'm going to see if I can figure it out. I'm going to try Command, Option, L. And there it is, reformat code. So if I hold down Command, Option, L on Mac, it says, you want to reformat the code? I'm going to say run. And it didn't do anything different. I was hoping that would work. But, you know, maybe if I had something in here, right, since those are maybe seen as all on the same level, and it added title in, with indentation, but if title wasn't indented, so let me just zoom in on that. All right, so now I'm going to reformat this code, and there's the reformat code, and I will run it, Command Option L to do that, and then it did reformat that, so it did indent that automatically when I ran it.
Did you have to highlight anything?
Nope, no, I didn't. So that's nice to know about, a little shortcut key. So that's doing my first little bit right there, and in the next video we'll take a look at doing the next step.